Hello and welcome to the Zach Halcock Show on this Friday. We are glad that you are here. We're doing some things a little different with the show. We are trying out doing the show, primarily distributing it through YouTube, seeing how that works. We've only been doing audio, which people don't usually like just audio. So today we're doing video, and it looks terrible, and we are capable of better video than this, but the amount of time that it would take to splice everything together, edit everything and all that and whatnot, it would be a lot more work than it would be just to do it this way. But hey, you like that ceiling fan behind me? You probably can't even. Anyway, but got some interesting things to get to today. I think, I don't know why I said I think. Let me get to it here. I saw something. I believe it was the Today Show. They had this big thing because somebody, one of the people on there, which I don't watch the Today Show because, I mean, who does? Somebody on the Today Show said colored people, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, you can't say colored people. You're a racist." And so then I'm like, well, does that make a person racist by saying colored people? No, it does not. That does not mean somebody is a racist. The term colored people is not a racist term. Well, you don't understand because you're not black. Yeah, I'm not black, but I do understand general things, if something is racist or not. And it's pretty obvious. Calling white people crackers, that's racist. Calling somebody the N-word, that's racist. But we seem to have this idea in our country now that, well, you're wrong, I'm right. So then you have a bias either way, where somebody says, well, I'm the one who's right and you're wrong, and that's just how it is. A lot of people, I feel like a lot of people don't understand the difference these days between Republican, Democrat, and I think a lot of people just kind of think, well, Republicans are bad. And somehow that's gotten into our culture, into our society. I had an argument with some people recently. They started it on Facebook, which I've learned the best way is just to not engage, because you're just going to get frustrated. They're just going to spit what they think facts at you. They're going to spit those at you and expect you to agree with them and you to believe it, or else you're the one who's the racist, bigoted, homophobe, and they're not. That's how they believe it works. They don't inherently express that, but that's the way that they act. They act like you're the one who's wrong, I'm the one who's right, and that's just the way it is, and you have to get with the times. And they say, well, we have to be progressive. Well, why would we need to be progressive? Because if I recall correctly, the progressives in the progressive era created the New Deal, which the New Deal was a disaster. You'll hear people say, well, it brought us out of the Great Depression. No, it didn't. It extended the Great Depression. The Great Depression would have been 3 years. Listen, the Great Depression, it was bad at first, but then it got worse because of the New Deal. Because they were spending money, the government was spending money it didn't have, just as it is today. Why is it that progressives, liberals, Marxists, they're all the same? They give their spin on things, and they try to tell you how it is, and you don't agree with it, and that makes you a racist. That makes you a bigot, a homophobe. If somebody says, well, you're a bigot, and then you're like, okay, thanks. And then they're like, but you're wrong because blah, 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 blah. And then you say your part, and then they're like, no, that's not right. They're the ones who is indeed actually the bigot. Because a bigot is somebody who has ideas different than somebody else, but they refuse to even open their mind or understand anything different from their own opinions, or even accept them, or even look at them as possibly truth. I don't agree with Black Lives Matter, but I think honest conversation and listening to what they have to say, listening to what they believe and understand their different understanding of what is going on. In the last show, I was talking about people have different understandings of the Bible. That happens. People have different understandings of things, and people have different understandings when it comes to politics. It's the exact same way. People don't all have the exact same opinions on everything. And I think my hair is annoying. I don't think my hair is annoying. It is. Anyway. I think people, they try to use a different understanding from what they actually think, what actually lines up with what they actually believe, to try to justify some sort of way that they're living that they don't know, they don't feel is right, but they try to justify it in some sort of way by saying, like I've heard before, that all gay people should be Democrats because only the Democrats like gay people. But I have yet to meet a Republican that hates gay people. I've yet to meet a Republican that doesn't think, okay, well, you have different opinions than me. I don't agree with that. That doesn't mean I hate you. But it doesn't mean that I have to agree with you. I don't have to have the same ideas as you do on things. I don't have to agree with you. Because if we all agreed on things, we'd all be robots. But I think what makes us at the point that we are, as Americans, our country is at a time where I believe we no longer understand what it means to work hard. I don't think we understand what it means to be a person who has opinions and somebody else doesn't agree with those. But we don't demonize them. We don't tear down their ideas, their opinions. And we see that happening a lot now. And I think what has always made America great is the people. America is about people. It's about life. It's about love. It is about Christian principles. It is. America was founded on Christian principles. We are a Christian nation. And no matter which way you look at that, you may think we're not a Christian nation. You may think we are a Christian nation. And the facts are, we are a Christian nation. I've heard the argument, well, the founding fathers were atheists. No, they weren't. I've heard people say, well, God wasn't a Republican. Well, God wasn't for people going into debt, owing people money. He wasn't for giving things to people. The Bible says, if you don't work, you don't eat. The idea of the Democrats is, you don't work, okay, we'll give you something to eat. That's not what God does. That's not what God says. God doesn't say, well, you worked really, really hard all week doing nothing. So now, I'm going to give you this government food. There's a story of I don't remember where it happened, but this is a true story. Trust me. I don't remember the exact details of where it happened or anything. There was a tornado. The government said, nobody do anything. We'll be there tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning came. They weren't there. They said they're bringing food and supplies. They weren't there. Late the next day, the day after they said they were going to be there, they came. They pull into this church's parking lot, and they're met by about 40 people with guns. And they say, we got this. We don't need you anymore. And they said, well, we're the government and we're here to help. This is what we're supposed to do. We were sent here to do this. Somebody said, yeah, well, you took 2 days to get here after it happened. You said you'd be here the very next day, and you weren't. We don't need you anymore. We have it all figured out. It's all taken care of. We don't need you anymore, so turn around and leave. They said no. People with the guns, they said, well, we're going to have to shoot you. Because we don't need your help. And now you're threatening us. They said, well, it's a natural disaster, and when there's a natural disaster that happens, the government automatically takes over all of the land here. They said, well, not our land. That's not what America's about. America's about helping each other. Loving people. Coming here 2 days after it happens, that's not caring about people. That's not loving people. That's doing something because you feel like you need to do it because you're the government. What about all these people who committed suicide waiting to get help from the VA hospital? That it's so bad, that the care is so bad there, the waiting lists are so long, it's difficult to get any sort of treatment. And they have to kill themselves. Because that's the only easy option. The VA hospital is completely messed up. All of this happened when there was a shooting at the VA hospital. I believe it's in Vandalia, Ohio. It's like Dayton-ish. Anyway, there was a shooting at that hospital. And all of this came out that this guy was angry. But what was he angry about? I don't think it was a nationwide story. I think it was only here. And he was angry because he had been waiting for years and years to get treatment. His wife worked there and his daughter worked there. And they told him what was going on. He said it wasn't okay. It takes that one person to snap and go insane and cause something bad to happen. I feel like we have a lot of those. There's a lot of people who are just ready to snap in our country, in our world. You know, I never want to just leave the show on an apocalyptic view. But, and even if I do talk about things that are, like, an apocalypse, I want to give you guidance and direction from what I believe we need to do. I'm just a person just like you. I mean, I'm a 20-year-old white guy in Dayton, Ohio. What do I know about politics? I hate politics, honestly. I hate having to follow the news. But I know other people aren't doing it. I know people aren't doing it. So I feel like that it is a job that has been given to me by God to do this, to tell people what needs to be said. Because honestly, I feel like a lot of people feel like that they can't do anything. I think people feel helpless. And I think people no longer know what to do. At one point in time, we knew what to do. Or at least we thought we did. We tried everything. All of our efforts gained nothing. Americans feeling that they're no longer being heard, and I think they've felt like that for a long time. Has ever once any person on the right, if you're a libertarian, a Republican, a conservative, have you ever once felt like that when the president's giving a speech, that he hears you, he knows what you feel, he knows what you're feeling about our country and the direction it's going? I don't think so. Because honestly, I don't think he cares. You hear him say things like, well, we're more than just red states and blue states. We're Americans. And we have to continue on our journey and show the world just why it is that we live in the greatest nation in the world. That's from his 2012 re-election speech. That's exactly what he said. And then he turns around and says, well, I understand people have religious beliefs. And they're old-timey religious beliefs. And those people need to change their religious beliefs, or else we're going to punish them to the fullest extent of the law. I'm not here to tell you, what bathroom to go in. I'm not here to tell you what's right and what's... I am here to tell you what's right and what's wrong. I'm not here to give you a direct moral code to live by. I'm here to say, well, let's listen to all sides. Let's see what's really going on. See what people think. Know what people are feeling. And I believe when we can do that, when we have open, honest conversations about things, I think we will reveal something magnificent. And that is the core behind what is really going on. And it lies with selfishness. That's what it is. It's selfishness. During Ronald Reagan's administration, it was all about us Americans. We are the champions, my friends. There was a hockey game, 1984, against some Russians. Americans against Russians. And the game was rigged. The Russians were going to win, and they knew it. They had to beat the Russians. Tried everything they could. The Americans won. And then the Americans in the stands started cheering USA, USA. And that's when the USA chant started. Ronald Reagan was elected president. And then we entered into a time of patriotism that I don't think we've ever seen. Maybe the Revolutionary War. But we entered into a time where we saw so much patriotism. Everybody was so American. And it was all about us, America. We can do it. We are America. We are one. One as people. One as Americans. And then something happened. And I don't know when it happened, and I wonder about that. And I do not think it is. People say, well, it's this generation. They just don't care. They're all terrible human beings. But who hasn't said that? I bet when I'm like 40, I'm going to be saying, wow, them kids born in like 2015, they're crazy children. They don't care about anything. They want to kill everyone, play video games, and sex it up. It's not the generation. It's not the people. It's not anything except for the fact that the Democrats have ushered in a time of, through Marxist ideas, they have ushered in a time of us, or a time of we, or me. There we go. Me. Which is the idea of, it's different from, because there's two opposite sides. We're either we're either all on the same side, we're all on the right side, or we're on the wrong side. And currently we are on the wrong side. We are on the wrong side. So what do you do? How do you fix that? Is there a way to fix it? Well, we have to be an us people. We have to be us. We have to be all about us. And I think when we start doing that, I think it's going to take root. And I think more people, because look at this, Democrats and Republicans both want us to be together. They think, well, what's the problem? Why aren't we uniting? Why? We've seen it happen before. Why can't it happen again? Why isn't it happening now? And this is what they're wondering. They're confused about that. Everybody's confused about that. Republicans, Democrats, everybody. They think, why can't we unite? What is the problem? Because we don't agree on simple things. How are you going to get people, Democrats and Republicans, to be able to agree on things? I don't think you can. I don't think there's a possible way to do it. But if we unite behind the idea that we're all people, we're all Americans, we are one. Not in a socialist, Marxist way. We are one. As in, we are all Americans. We have to love each other. We have to stand for life and love. And I think when we start doing that, we're going to see a total change in our country. And listen, people are already standing. If I don't stand, if we don't stand, it will stand itself. The idea will stand itself. And if we do that, and when we do that, if and when we do that, I should say, we're going to have I believe, a supernatural change in our country. Fundamentally different from what we once were. Now we can go and we can be Americans. We can do what Obama's speechwriter told him to say, and say, and we will continue. Let's do this. As Obama's speechwriter said, I told him to say, we are more than just a collection of red states and blue states. We are Americans, and we will continue our fight, and we will continue to show the world just why it is that we live in the greatest nation on earth. Is it greatest again? Greatest nation on earth. Those are true words. Whoever's speechwriter is, he's good. Because Obama can't come up with stuff like that. I know. I think that there is fundamentally on ideas we don't agree. But on the ideas of we need to come together, we agree. And that's where we have to start. Back in a minute. The Zach Halcon Show. Have Joy Speak Truth on the Cobalt Radio Network.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The Federal Reserve Chair foresees an interest rate hike, although she doesn't say when, as correspondent Linda Kenyon reports.
Janet Yellen cites a solid job market and improved outlook for the economy and inflation. She noted that inflation is still running below the Fed's 2% target rate, but she said it's being depressed mainly by temporary factors. Janet Yellen offered her generally upbeat assessment of the economy in a speech to a conference of central bankers in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Some economists have said they think the Fed is likely to alert investors that it may act on interest rate at its next policy meeting. That would be in late September. The U.S. economy expanded at a sluggish 1.1% pace this spring. That's when businesses sharply reduced their stockpiles of goods and spent less money on things like new buildings and equipment. Today's estimate is slightly below the Commerce Department's previous figure of 1.2% growth. That's an estimate, the first of three. It's measured by gross domestic product, the broadest gauge of the economy. A desperate search amid dwindling hope of finding more survivors in the rubble of this week's earthquake in central Italy. Correspondent Nicole Winfield reports that new aftershocks are creating new dangers in one of the hardest-hit villages, Amatrice.
The mayor of the quake-struck Amatrice town in central Italy is warning that damage from aftershocks to two main access roads to the town threaten to isolate it. That would then affect the emergency response by firefighters and rescue crews still trying to find survivors.
Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton is defending the work of her family foundation, saying the organization needs more time to ensure the continuity of its programs. If elected, Clinton says she'll take additional steps to make sure there are no conflicts of interest between her administration and the global charitable network founded by her husband. She spoke to MSNBC's Morning Joe program today about the Clinton Family Foundation. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump continues to dominate.
Packed state
Thousands of
all
people
the way around the convention
biggest
center.
crowd today.
Surging in the polls.
Far out.
More than double. Resort will be out.
Trump is different.
He's his own man.
Totally fearless. He cannot be
He's the
stopped.
last hope for America.
The silent majority is back.
I came to hear Donald Trump's business plan for America.
It's really cool to hear him actually speak the truth. Sounds like it is.
Make America great. As a guy who's an international student, Trump is speaking out the truth.
He wants to make America great, and that's what I want to.
What's more fun than a Trump rally, right? We have a country that we're proud of and that we love and that we're not going to lose. There is an assault on everything that we stand for, and we're going to stop the assault.
We have a movement going on, folks.
20,000 people in Dallas, 35,000 in Mobile, Alabama. This whole arena packed, and we're sending people away.
We're winning in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Texas. It's been wild.
His passion is the fabric of America. Work ethic, dreams, drive, and faith in the Almighty. Are you all ready to make America great again?
We're going to bring back our country. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to bring our manufacturing back. We're going to start winning again. The silent majority, it's back, and it's not silent. We're tired of being pushed around by incompetent people, and it's going to change. You are going to be so proud of your country again. You're going to remember this evening, and you're going to say to your children that we were part of a movement to take back our country. We will make America great again.
Welcome back to the show. Did you miss me? Anyway. So as I was saying before the break, I was saying that I believe Americans feel powerless. I think that they don't really. I don't think they know what to do. I think most of us don't know what to do. And, you know, it's a common thing. This tends to happen a lot with countries. I'm not going to say... I have said before that we are headed for a revolutionary war. But it's not going to be... And I've heard people say, well, is there going to be a civil war? It's against different ideas. We're not having a... There's no war, there's no issue with different ideas. Where the issue lies is with people and their ideas, their feelings toward that. Why is it that a person feels so strongly toward a certain way? Well, obviously they have a reason why. Why is it that I'm a libertarian? Why is it somebody else may be a Democrat? And I feel like that if more people knew what the Democrats actually stand for, they wouldn't be a Democrat. They wouldn't want to say that they're a Democrat anymore. Because of what the Democrats stand for. The Democrats don't stand for what they say they stand for. Because facts show that they do not. Facts show that they stand for the opposite of what they say they stand for. What do they say they stand for? Well, they say they stand for, we want to, help people, care about people. That's all fine and great. But not with my money. They say, well, we want to bring in, let's let illegal aliens stay in. Okay, well, these illegal aliens, they don't pay taxes. Because they're not a citizen. They don't pay taxes. A lot of them don't have jobs. So they rely on the government to give them money. They don't have any sort of education. So they're staying in our country while I'm paying taxes that gives money to them so they can stay in our country. I don't know if it. I don't see it working very well because that doesn't work at all. What does work is if they had a job, if they paid taxes, then they wouldn't need the help. The idea of the system, the idea of the system where the system doesn't work. It's messed up. Why? Because it allows people to not work and makes them... It doesn't make them do anything. That's the thing. It doesn't make them do a single thing. You don't have to do anything to be able to get food stamps. You don't. All you have to do is just basically be... I mean, at this point, you don't even have to be a human being. You could just be like, yo, I want money. And then they'll be like, all right, let's give you that taxpayer money because it's not our money anyway. The federal government literally has no money. The federal government has no money. Zero. They have no money at all. It's ridiculous. It's very interesting to see how they spend money that's not theirs, that they say, you gotta give us that money, and we give it to them. And then they abuse it. They don't use the money properly. And they're like, well, we're the government, we can do whatever we want with it. And then we're like, no, not really. You are beholden to us, we're not beholden to you. And then they're like, well, who cares? We have an army, and they'll kill you. And at that point, it's almost like, it's just ridiculous at that point to be basically to be for the government to say, well, you know, we can do whatever we want. We're the government. And then we're like, wait, no, that's not how it works. And they knew that. The Founding Fathers knew that. And that's why I say there might be a Revolutionary War coming. Whether it be violent and bloody like the last one. Because we're just like the American colonies. Having to pay a bunch of money and taxes to the Britons. To Britain. Just like that. We're paying a bunch of money. They're not respecting us. We're asking them to do things. They're not. The government is supposed to keep the roads safe. Our roads are failing. They're crumbling into dirt. They will be literally within 20 years. All of our roads in America are literally, literally, anyway, whatever that means, are going to be dissolved into the ground. Also, our government is supposed to protect people, defend laws, say what needs to be said as far as legality-wise of everything. They're supposed to do that. They're supposed to... They are part of the people who control the law, the legal system. And they're doing bad at that because Hillary Clinton is not in prison yet. Also, Obama's not in prison, and he needs to be in prison. There's so many people that need to be in prison, people who have broken laws. And we are sitting here saying we don't know what to do anymore. Because we feel powerless. Because people with lots of power say you don't matter. And it's not true. And you do have the authority to tell the government what to do. You have the right to say, I'm allowed to have guns, leave me alone. I know what's my right. People say, well, rights should be able to be taken away if it's hurting other people. Okay, so then if I call you stupid, should I never be allowed to say the word stupid again? Should it be considered a bad word? Should I be thrown in prison and murdered? No. Why? Because I don't say, oh, you want to take my guns, let's put you in prison and murder you. Hang you. Murder you. I don't say that. So why are you saying that on the other side? You say, oh, well, a gorilla was killed, so if you don't agree with me being sad that a gorilla was murdered, air quotes, murdered, then how about we... do something different. Then, or not, what am I saying? Then how about you just, go die in a hole because you don't agree. Because you're a terrible human being. Because you're an animal too. Humans aren't animals. They never have been, never will be. People say, oh, well, have you been to a science class? I learned that in, 2nd grade. Yeah, well, that's bias. You can't base your, air quotes, facts on that. Those aren't facts. Science is not fact. Science is ideas. That's what it is. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I think The whole Harambe thing is annoying because people brought that back up. They're like, it's not funny. You're a horrible human being. Oh my gosh. He was just a gorilla, and he was killed, and they should have used a tranquilizer. Okay, because you're an expert. You know, and I'm not an expert too, but I know that little boy was in danger. And yes, his parents obviously should have been keeping track of him better and make sure that he doesn't fall into a gorilla exhibit. But that gorilla was not being nice. That gorilla was going to be violent, dragging him through the water. That's very friendly. That gorilla wasn't going to keep him and raise him or anything. That gorilla was angry because that baby was in his home. And the people at the Cincinnati Zoo even said that. Even said, yeah, he was really angry and he was going to kill him. And even if we did tranquilize him, he would kill the other gorillas too. Or if we tranquilized him, it would take forever and he could kill the baby. Therefore, they made the decision to shoot him. You know what else decision you should make? You should make the decision to subscribe here on YouTube. Go to our website, zachhalcox.com, for more information about me or about the show. Or send me an email, zachhalcox.cmg@gmail.com. And share this show with a friend. Keep the show going and growing. And if you do your part, I'll keep doing my part. And we'll see you back here on Monday.